Oftentimes, you might have other considerations to take into account when making a decision, which can be entered in the Costs and Other Considerations page. Generally, you should reserve criteria to describe the benefits of your alternatives, and Costs and Other Considerations to describe any other important information that isn't a benefit. For example, the costs of your alternatives, how many resources you have available to allocate to projects, what sector an alternative falls under, or even contact information for a project, or anything else that comes to mind. Keeping these considerations separate from your criteria allows you to weigh your alternatives against each other more effectively by using a value for money chart, like we see here. Here, you can measure the alternative score against cost or any other consideration through the axes and the bubbles. We will go over the value for money chart later in the course. So let's get started with adding some costs and considerations. Here we want to buy a new phone and we're trying to decide what phone to buy. Probably the first thing that comes to mind that isn't a benefit is the price. So we will put that in here. Then we enter the type of data that this is, which in this case is a number. Then click OK. Now we see this consideration added to the list. When a consideration is selected, we can view additional details in the menu on the right. Here we can change the name or data type. If you want to learn more about what data type is best for your cost or consideration, there's a handy-dandy help tip in the menu on the right to help you out. When adding a number variable, you can specify whether or not the variable is summable. If it is summable, for example, when considering the cost of several projects, then we can enter a budget for choosing our alternatives. The budgeting feature isn't just useful for money, it allows us to use any summable number variable as a limiting factor when choosing one or more alternatives. For example, if I were to manage different projects at work, I could tick the summable box and set a budget to factor in how much staff I have available to allocate to different projects. In our case, we're probably only going to be buying one phone, so it doesn't make sense to sum the prices. So we will uncheck this box. Maybe another consideration we could add is whether the phone is an Apple or Android phone, in which case we would set the data type to list and set the categories in the menu on the right. We can even add the product URL for each alternative by adding a text field where we can enter that data. You can add as many considerations as you like, but keep in mind that you'll only be able to display at most 4 at a time on the value for money chart. It might take you some time to get used to differentiating between criteria and your other considerations. But practice makes perfect, and if you need any help, our team is always here to help you out.